Hello and welcome to Odds on Serie A match day 15. We have a three-horse race. Milan keeping the pressure and winning from behind. Napoli level on points. Inter only 1 point behind. But I don't know the morale with Inter. Leo, another defeat against another big team. And they have a really old squad. So they should know how to manage these kind of games.
Hi, Edu. Yes, absolutely. To be honest, when I was watching Inter Liverpool and the defeat of 𝐿𝐭𝐴 team, I was thinking that again, another week before a match day, in this case, match day 15, in which in Italy, everyone's going to be talking about this Inter who cannot perform on big games so far this season. But yes, in Serie A, we can see them there fighting at the top with Milan and Napoli, who is the team of the last month for me. I know Milan's win from behind against Torino away from home was great. Pulisic was great, but the team of the weekend in Italy for me was Napoli.
Indeed. Napoli also with important wins. Let's see if they are able to win in Udine on Sunday. We will talk about all the games. Also, we have Fiorentina, Verona with a lot of pressure for La Viola. So stay with us. Let's enjoy Italian football, guys, before the Italian Super Cup, by the way. Next week, we have the Italian Super Cup. So stay with us. If you enjoy our videos, just press the like, and even more important, subscribe to our channel, please, so we can keep doing these videos. And now let's go on with the show. And we start on Friday in the 𝐬𝐵𝗿𝗄𝐻. We have Lecce, Pisa, of course, for the relegation battle. Pisa, third from bottom, 10 points. Lecce just above, 3 points. Lecce lost to Cremonese after beating Torino at the 𝐬𝐵𝗿𝗄𝐻. Pisa, Leo, it was a harsh defeat against Parma, 1-0, and also 𝗀𝐸𝐵𝗀 saw a red card, so he won't be available for this 6-pointer.
Yes, it was a painful one for Pisa, to be honest. The defeat with Parma, and 𝗀𝐸𝐵𝗀 is going to miss not just this game with Lecce, but the next 3 games. He was given a 3-match ban, and I think his red card, it showed all Pisa's frustrations in that game. It was their second consecutive defeat after the one with Inter. Away from home, anyway, they drew the last 3, Milan, Torino, and Sassuolo, and they scored 6 of their 10 goals in those last 3 away games. So lately, to be on the road goes a little bit better for Pisa. And for Lecce, another 6-pointer. Well, for both of them, it's another 6-pointer after another 6-pointer because, as you mentioned, Lecce's defeat was with Cremonese. And they are both looking similar when you look at them on the table. Same goal difference, same goal score, same goals conceded, but crucial 3 points gap in favor of Lecce, who they have a relatively all right first half against Cremonese. Nikola Stulic missed a sitter 3 minutes into the game. 𝗵𝗏𝗀 had a shot on target from inside the box in the first 10 minutes as well, and he was denied by the goalkeeper. However, if you rewatch the game, you won't find another even half chance for Lecce. It is not a surprise. It's been the theme for Lecce in the last 3 seasons. And in the second half, all changed once Ramadani committed a foul and the VAR made the call for a penalty. If they didn't have ideas Lecce with the game 0-0, just imagine how was it after they were 1-0 down. Again, Lecce's best player was a center back, which again as well says a lot. Thiago Gabriel, who won't last long in Lecce. 7 defeats of the season for them, and at home they lost 1 of the last 5, winning the last one against Torino. But as I see with Pisa, Edu, it seems that away from home they can probably, I don't know if the word is relax a little bit more, but the pressure is not as high as when they're at home. That's why, taking into account those three consecutive draws away from home, that they scored 6 of their 10 goals away from home, Pisa double chance 1.6 my take for this Lecce Pisa.
All right, let's keep talking about the relegation Torino Cremonese, although not because of Cremonese, 20 points, only 4 behind the European spots, but because of Torino, they are 16th in the table, only 4 points above Pisa. They are in really bad form, lost to Milan despite leading 2-0, is 3 defeats in a row, winless in 6, and the opposite for Cremonese, back-to-back wins. Leo, we've talked a lot about this in this show, but David and Nicola's miracle now that we are coming into Christmas time.
Absolutely, Edu. What Cremonese is doing is just amazing. Actually, them and Sassuolo, are probably one of the talking points of this season so far. Just think that Lecce last season they stayed in Serie A with 34 points. Well, Cremonese has already 20, and we are not even halfway through the season. So it is absolutely amazing. They are absolutely enjoying their time, even with people coming or flying from England to watch them play, as is the case with some Leicester fans who were also even invited by Bardi behind the scenes to take pictures with him after he learned that they were in the stadium. It's becoming a common place to see Leicester shirts and in the Cremonese stands. And against Lecce, Cremonese had also great goal-scoring news, not because of Bardi, but because Tony Sanabria, the Paraguayan, he scored after 14 months in Serie A. So that was good news for them. And Torino dangerously flirting with the relegation battle. 6 matches without a win, 3 consecutive defeats, conceding 10 goals in those defeats. They have conceded the most in Serie A this season with 26. You mentioned they were 2-0 up against Milan, but after Rabiot made it 2-1 before halftime, the feeling was that the comeback was about to happen for Milan. This season, almost nothing goes Granata's way, because Milan was without winning in Turin since May 2021. The first half, although was good for Torino, they were 2-0 after 30 minutes only. The energy, the intensity, everything was different comparing to their previous home game, that thrashing defeat 5-1 with Como. But the second half was completely the opposite. A team that cannot stand the blow, this Torino. The only positive I would say is that if the positive as well for Cremonese was Tony Sanabria scoring after 14 months, well, for Torino, Duvan Zapata scoring again after such a long time. His last one was against Inter in San Siro, the night he teared his cruciate ligament, and that was October last year. So I mentioned Lecce stayed in Serie A with 34 points, Cremonese already on 20. On the road, Cremonese, they won 2 of their last 3, Edu. And if they did it against Bologna away from home 2 match days ago, why not in Turin? That's why my take here is another double chance. In this case, is Cremonese, and the odds are good, Edu. Cremonese double chance 1.86.
Where are the goals scored by Cholito some weeks ago? We forgot about them. And then we have Parma, Lazio, 2 teams, Leo, if you remember well, in the 90s, in the 2000s, were one of my favorites, both, but these are other times. And Parma, they are only 4 points away from Pisa, but winning there was crucial. Also won recently in Verona. The problem is at home at the Ennio Tardini, 2 points in the last 5 games. Lazio, they had a good result in Coppa Italia against Milan, but in Serie A is 1 win in the last 4 Serie A games since they drew with Bologna in a special day for Ciro Immobile.
Yes, but the case with Lazio is like, I think they are playing better than the table or the points tally suggests. I think they have been improving along the season. And again, we talk about this. It's a team which they have a small squad, so injuries played crucial or had a crucial impact on them this season. With Bologna, they did well. They made Raviglia, Bologna's goalkeeper, the man of the match. They do have problems, of course. For example, on the left with Nuno Tavares, who is one player pushing forward, like he showed against Milan in the Coppa Italia, providing the cross for the winning goal. But defensively, he is a different player. Against Bologna, actually, he was taken off at halftime. With Bologna also was a shame that 𝐿𝐴ᵉ, who scored the opening goal and it was impressive, had to come off injured. So we're going to see if he's going to be able to play at the Ennio Tardini. We had the return of Tati Castellanos as Lazio number 9, so that is good news for Maurizio Sarri. And for Parma was a huge win against Pisa. Away, it wasn't a great watch, probably, which I guess everyone prepared for, but it was a win that lifted Parma 4 points above Pisa. It's not been easy for Carlos Cuesta in his first managerial experience. He's coaching the younger side in Serie A, and part of the inconsistency is related to that. But it's the same inexperienced team that the 3 games, Edu, they won this season. They have been all 6-pointers. Verona, Torino, and Pisa. So that is a sign of character for Parma. They have taken as well a 2-2 at home with Milan, but I don't see them getting away from that inconsistency after the win against Pisa. Now playing against Lazio, which again I believe they have been improving. Edu, that's why my take is Lazio to win 2.15.
Well, it's a tough stadium, although indeed Parma are not getting good results. At the Ennio Tardini, 4th from bottom, only 6 points throughout the season. And now we go to Bergamo, Atalanta, Cagliari, 2 teams that should be very happy. Atalanta because of their win in the Champions League in a massive game against Chelsea, doing really well in Europe, and also in Serie A they had improved before they visited Verona, where they lost. They played really bad, at least the things that we could see, Leo, because the fog was really abundant to see that game. And Cagliari, massive win against Roma. They were winless for so many weeks, so now they have a 4 points margin with the relegation.
Yes, it was a huge one, that win in Sardinia for Cagliari against Roma. They managed now to extend the gap to 4 points with the bottom 3. It was Cagliari's first win since September 19. Sebastiano Esposito had a great game. If he is to perform like this often for Cagliari, then the 4 million euros Cagliari will have to pay in the summer to keep him will amount to almost nothing. He was involved in all Cagliari's attack against Roma. For Gianluca Gaetano was the first goal of the season. On the road is 5 without winning though for Cagliari with 2 defeats. And then Atalanta, yes, great win against Chelsea in the Champions League. Amazing performance from the Ketelare, not just because he scored the winning goal, but he was a standout player for Atalanta against Chelsea. But the reality that in Serie A, the defeat with Verona last weekend, which was a team without a win all season, that one, it makes you think twice. If this Atalanta now with Palladino is recovering finally from the Juric era, they were on the back of 3 consecutive wins in all competitions, Champions League, Coppa Italia, and Serie A. So I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the first goal. Atalanta had 5 players jogging back, all raising their hands, asking for an offside. So I understand when Palladino, after the game, says that it was an acceptable performance from Atalanta against Verona. The first half was truly terrible in all aspects. If you face a team as Verona, which is the team with the least possession in Serie A, a team that plays long, that they will always fight for the second balls. Basically, you need to win duels to win the game, and Verona won all of them. And some of those duels were even without fighting, to be honest. And my view is that Atalanta faces a problem because they have players who clearly don't want to be there or don't see themselves playing there next summer. So they switch on and off depending on the opponent sometimes. So with Verona, no one switched on. Against Chelsea on Tuesday night, everyone was on, and especially on the second half. At some point, it's difficult to see for me at which point they are with under Palladino, although, of course, they are doing better than with 𝗀𝗏𝗀. Of the 7 away games for Cagliari, Edu, 4 of them were goals under 2.5, 4 out of 7 with Cagliari on the road, and I'm taking that road, goals under 2.5 for this Atalanta Cagliari, odds of 2.1.
And these are the games on Sunday. Milan, Sassuolo. Milan leaders, top of the table after winning in Torino, coming back from behind. Pulisic scoring a brace, Modric guiding the team. Is the last game before traveling to the Super Cup and face Napoli, so it's very important to win, but it shouldn't be easy. We've seen it in some other games this season when they screw it up playing in San Siro, and Sassuolo could be very dangerous. They are coming after beating Fiorentina, so close to the European spots. Great comeback for Sassuolo, also doing a great season.
Absolutely, Edu. Absolutely. As with Cremonese, it's amazing to see Sassuolo just 4 points behind the European places. They can play now without the pressure of looking down to the relegation zone. They won, as you said, from behind against Fiorentina at home, and now they're gonna give troubles to Milan. That's for sure. And the good thing with this Sassuolo is, like, even now that they have Domenico Berardi injured, he wasn't playing against Fiorentina, and when he plays, the captain is usually the MVP. Well, even without him, they can do it. This time against Fiorentina, the standout player was 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗀, the center back. He scored 1, he assisted another. He did great man marking 𝗍𝐿𝐴, so if they give him now the task of doing the same with Pulisic or with 𝗀𝐿𝐴, he could do good. I'm not mentioning here Rafa Leao because he went out in the first half against Torino, and he's in doubt with to play Sassuolo. Milan, anyway, is at this moment is almost like guaranteed to finish in the Champions League spots, because when the Rossoneri have made more than 30 points after 14 matches, they have never finished lower than the third place. And the win in Turin was a huge boost for Milan and for Allegri. This time was not Maignan the hero, but Christian Pulisic, as you mentioned, Edu, scoring that brace coming from the bench. And the first goal was just after 10 seconds he came on. In the last 10 years, just 3 players have scored 2 goals for Milan coming from the bench. 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏, Pulisic, and the crazy thing is that the third one is 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏 Jimenez, who did that against Bologna in May. The problem is that he hasn't scored since. Pulisic told the press after the game that he was dead in bed with fever 48 hours before the game. He has 7 goals in 9 Serie A games this season, 79, very good return for Pulisic, and who was, of course, was the man in the covers of all Sunday papers in Italy. But Adrien Rabiot was also fantastic. He scored a wonderful goal from outside the box, which is actually identical goal to the one that Di Maria scored against France in Russia 2018. So guys, go and have a look on both goals and tell me if I'm not right. Ruben Loftus-Cheek playing behind 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏 as well had probably his best game of the season. Max Allegri watching from the stands because he's having a touchline ban for his dissent against Lazio. But Milan could do without Allegri in the bench because his assistant Marco Landucci has now won all 4 of the games he was standing in for Allegri this season, which tells us as well a lot about Allegri, that he's missing already 4 games because of dissent in Serie A this season. So I expect goals here, Edu, in this Milan Sassuolo in San Siro. Might take goals over 2.5, odds of 1.80.
It's important what you mentioned because the key would be qualifying for the Champions League, and Allegri is doing the job indeed, even if later on they cannot fight for the Scudetto. And now the red game, difficult one, Fiorentina. Verona is almost a match ball for Fiorentina now, the only team without a win in Serie A, 7 points away. For Lecce, I wouldn't say last call because we are still in December, but especially psychologically would be very tough if they are not able to get the 3 points here after losing again against Sassuolo, and especially Leo, because Fiorentina are coming from the first win of the season. 4 points away from salvation still. What do you expect here? Tension usually when we see this kind of games is low scoring game and more falls than football.
Yes, absolutely, Edu. I mean, and it's a game with huge significance, especially for Fiorentina. I mean, it's painful to see them bottom of Serie A, haven't won a single game this season. And to be honest, be careful, because I think another defeat could mark the end of Paolo Vanoli's era. To be honest, he was furious with the players after the defeat with Sassuolo. He said that his team needs real men, that his players do not work for each other. So for me, it seems the relation is absolutely broken between manager and players, because all his criticism come at the same time that he says that the system is not the problem. So basically, he's taking any blame away from him. Even seeing them scoring is a sign of problems, because 𝐿𝐵𝐴 and Mandragora were discussing who will take the penalty in the first half, because they were even winning 1-0 against Sassuolo. And before Captain Luca Ranieri took the 𝐿𝐵𝐴 away, then Vanoli said that the penalty taker should have been Gudmundsson, but he didn't want to take it. Then Gudmundsson went on to social media saying that he never has and he never will refuse to take a penalty. Fiorentina supporters may be thinking, why on earth they were criticizing probably Vincenzo Italiano because he took them to Conference League finals, but he didn't win any of them. Italiano left La Viola, and then he won a Coppa Italia with Bologna. And since Italiano left, all the problems started, although at least Raffaele Palladino left them on a conference place last season. It didn't work with Pioli, and it's not working now with Paolo Vanoli, definitely. Now for Sunday, Edu, with this Verona, who won the first game of the season, they're going to arrive in high spirits. They played a very good first half against Atalanta. Away from home, they lost 4 of their 7 games, and they scored only 3 goals. This one could be the first win of the season of La Viola, could arrive against Verona. Could happen. One day they're going to win a game, but I won't go X1. I expect a low-scoring affair here, Edu, with all the pressure on this game, especially on Fiorentina. Might take both teams to score. No. Odds of 1.80.
Should be indeed a low-scoring game. Then we have Udinese, Napoli. You mentioned the great win by Napoli against Juventus, really deserved. Probably should have been even bigger. The result, Højlund and Neres shining. And it's a hard week for them, of course, with the Champions League, with that game against Juventus. And this one in Udine, away some issues, is 3 defeats this season away from the Maradona, and Udinese mid-table is not really in form. It's 3 defeats in 4 games, but again, Udine and in winter, Leo, is never easy.
Yes, Edwin, and to be honest, look, we are doing this video before the Napoli plays in the Champions League this week, I'm sorry. But it's been a great last month for them, and the win against Juventus meant that they're still undefeated at home in the calendar year. It was a special night, Edu, for in the Diego Armando Maradona because of the return of Luciano Spalletti. It was strange to see a manager who has a Napoli tattoo together with the Scudetto badge being booed all night, Spalletti. I understand the fans anyway, of course, for many Napoli supporters to see him managing Juventus was the ultimate sin, joining the club they hate the most. But then you have Juventus supporters as well thinking that the decision of Conte not to return to Juventus in the summer to stay with Napoli was also a betrayal of a legend, as Conte is in Juventus. But then on the player side, the decisive player this time, Edu, on a great Sunday for Napoli was Rasmus Højlund. He scored in Serie A again after 2 months. We mentioned last show the tip for David Neres to score or to assist, and that one paid off. The Brazilian crossing for the Danish in the first goal. Neres again was essential. He's been Napoli's best player in 3 consecutive league games now, all since Conte rearranged his formation into this 3-4-3 after the defeat to Bologna. Napoli went from a team that had gone more than 300 minutes without a goal to a team that had won 5 in a row in all competitions, although the win against Cagliari in Coppa Italia was on penalties. 𝐿𝐿𝐼 now playing in a deeper role because of all the midfield injuries they are having, which we discussed in previous shows. He had a good game again. He's playing through pain as well. Conte has been repeating. And now comes this Udinese full of inconsistency. They lost 7 minutes before the end against Genoa at home last Matchday. It's 5 defeats and 3 wins in the last 8 in all competitions for Udinese. So it was the second consecutive home defeat, the one with Genoa, and Sunday probably should be the 3rd consecutive defeat, I believe, for Udinese, because my take here is Napoli to win, 1.91.
Let's see before the Super Cup if they are able also to win in Udine. Then we have Genoa Inter with the issues I mentioned before, since they lost another important game this season, as they did in Napoli, against Milan, against Atletico de Madrid, and it's not easy to go to Marassi. In the last 3 seasons we saw draws in this fixture, with Genoa really in form. It's 3 wins and 2 draws in the last 5 games. So, in my opinion, warning for Inter in this game.
It could be a warning, Edu, but at the same time, look, every time they had a setback, and we can call it that, against, of course, Liverpool, they usually bounce back quick. After the defeat with Napoli, a 3-0 win against Fiorentina. After the defeat with Juventus, a win against Ajax. After the defeat with Atletico Madrid, a win against Pisa. So that trend could continue against Genoa. This is not to say that, again, the debate won't change away from this week in Inter about them not being able to compete or to take results in the big games. And with Liverpool, it was a timid Inter, to be honest, Edu. It was another example of this Inter not taking the initiative on a big game. They were poor to watch, or very conservative, especially on the first half. Yes, they could feel wrong with the VAR call to award that penalty to Liverpool, but it does not escape the fact that Alisson did not have to work almost all game. It was very different Inter than the one we saw in San Siro against Como. That was a much more determined Inter, an attacking Inter, even though if they didn't have more possession than Como last weekend, they had a much more attacking Inter that we saw against Liverpool. They had a fast start against Como. Nicolo Barella could have scored after 2 minutes. They took the lead after 10 minutes. They were very clinical as well against Como. This kind of blistering start for Inter is not something new. They have scored 12 first half goals in 14 games, the most of any side in Serie A. But now they're going to have, yes, Genoa, which is in good spirits. If Daniele De Rossi is happy, I am happy as well, Edu. The win in Udine allowed Genoa to climb to 14 in the table, 4 points above the relegation zone. Norton Caffey, the England under-21, was the one scoring the winning goal. He's been praised by Daniele De Rossi. He's mainly a right back. He played there most of his time in the Arsenal Academy, but he's playing a lot in midfield, and De Rossi wants to use him, wants to use his physicality a little bit higher up the pitch as a winger. Second consecutive win in this Serie A for Genoa, something that did not happen since January 2024 for this side. And it was good that win against Udinese came after that thrashing against Atalanta in Serie A. They lost 4-0 away from home in Coppa Italia. Sorry, not Serie A, Coppa Italia. So it was good for them to win away against Udinese. But again, Edu, this not forget, this is a side who is going to be fighting for relegation, to avoid relegation all season, although I think they made a good change of managers going for Daniele De Rossi. But I trust, or I believe, the trend of Inter recovering always straight away after a setback, especially if it's against a team of the bottom of the table, as it happened with Pisa weeks ago. That's why my take is Inter to win, combined with goals over 1.5. These two together, odds of 2.05.
Let's see, I can see danger here for Inter, as I can see danger here for Juventus. Surprisingly, in my opinion, they are favorites in the Dallara, 2.7 to win, Bologna 2.9, despite the defeat at the Maradona. In my opinion, another poor performance. They should have lost even for more. There is some videos going on Twitter, Leo, showing the poor quality of Juventus players. They look like Serie C, Serie D. They were unable to pass the partner. Really poor, this Juve, despite the arrival of Spalletti, 7th now in the table, and Bologna also not in their best after not being able to beat Lazio or Cremonese. Still, I think this is a very dangerous game, or tough one for Juventus.
Yeah, it is a dangerous one, Edu, and even if this Bologna dropped 5 points in the last 2 games, after that defeat with Cremonese came the 1-1 with Lazio on the weekend, but they are still 2 points away from the top 4, and they had chances to win it in the second half. The 𝗀𝗲𝗿𝗲𝗀 scoring his third goal of the season, which gave him some encouragement, because the 1-1 came right before halftime, so I thought in the second half they were going to go for it. They played the last 15 minutes, Bologna, with 11 against 10 because Gila's red card, but they struggled a little bit to force the winning goal. But anyway, Vincenzo Italiano said he was happy with the point and that the table looks lovely. And he's right, to be honest, Edu. To see that Bologna, where they are, is good. They're going to be, after Juventus, they play as well in the Supercoppa Italiana. So these are great days to be a Bologna supporter. And for Juventus, we discussed this a little bit with you and Alain on our Champions League show, because 72 hours passed already since Spalletti used 𝐭𝐴𝐺𝐵 as a false 9 against Napoli, and I can still understand that. Probably he thought that playing without a striker and one more midfielder in his 3-5-2, he would outnumber and dominate Napoli in midfield, but nothing of that happened. In the press conference before facing Paphos, he acknowledged that he did not give the team the best chance of winning the game. But the problem, I said that with Spalletti and his decisions with 𝐿 is not that just that he used the Turkish player in a very uncomfortable position, but that even the worst, I believe, that with Juventus losing 2-1, he took off 𝐿𝐵, being him the one who equalized after a very, very good goal. So that was as well difficult to understand. Edon Segovra, I believe, came on very late as well on the game, although with Segovra, we all have this concerns that his physical condition still is not the best. He's joining from Lille, and after months of inactivity. But probably there is not a reason to make a drama anyway. This was Spalletti's first defeat since taking over Igor Tudor after a run of 4 wins and 3 draws in between Serie A, Coppa Italia, and Champions League. The main point for me, Edu, is that Juventus is a squad to fight for the Scudetto. I would say no, but this is not a squad also to be 7th in the standing. So I've seen more parity in the odds than we are seeing, with Juventus being the favorite, which I don't see it. I could see that the game as well could be heading probably to a draw here, but I won't go X1 or X2. Might take both teams to score yes 1.95.
Well, here I should check, or we should check Smart Bet, the AI powered by Oddspedia, giving us choices and good tips for this game. Double chance for Bologna, 1.5, they say. Over 1.5 goals, 1.4 odds, and full-time result, Bologna to win, as I said before, 2.9. So the smart bet sees value on Bologna. And for Monday, we have a really good game. Roma, como 4th against the 6th. Roma, back-to-back defeats without scoring and looking bad in Cagliari, really. But I would say they didn't have chances in that game after being unable also to score with Napoli. Only 15 goals scored for this Roma. Is not Gasperini's rock and roll, that's for sure. And Como, coming from a bad defeat against Inter, Cesc Fabregas said that, it's better to lose trying going forward than defending. Leo, tough one, I think here. The bookies place Roma as favorites, but also the Olympico factor is not happening this season. 3 defeats already for Roma playing at home.
Yes, Edu, and to be honest, we're going to see how they're going to respond. Roma, after these 2 consecutive defeats and now playing at home, it's not going to be easy, and they are having the problems we've been talking. Even when they were winning, we were saying that there was a low scoring in Roma, the problems they are having in attack, and I agree with you mentioned they didn't have chances almost against Cagliari. I believe it was the worst game of the season for Roma. They struggled to create any goal scoring opportunities in Sardinia, even before Selic saw a red card. Svilar made some big saves, so the defeat could have been even worse for Roma. Baldanzi started the game again as a false 9. There are talks of Roma cutting short the loan of Ivan Ferguson in January and going for 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐸. I mentioned that before, that the eyes are on 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐴, but now 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐴 is playing more regularly than before. He even scored against Crystal Palace, so we will see if Manchester United allowed the loan or to sell him in January. Although, if the problem for Roma is that they cannot score goals, I don't know if Joshua 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐴 is the answer actually for that. But it wasn't just the case of not having a goal scorer in Sardinia. There were some creative problems for Roma too. Soulé is not on the level of the start of the season. And I know we haven't seen almost anything from him in midfield so far. Dybala is trying to rebuild his level after coming back from injury. That injury that he got in the penalty he missed against Milan. Gasperini gave rest to Wesley, the Brazilian. So it is clear, this Roma, they will need reinforcements in January, and not just in the form of a number 9. If they want to fight for the Scudetto, or at least to fight for the top 4. And Como's trashing defeat was a surprise, at least for me, Edu. They had more possession, yes, more shots on goal than Inter, but they were far from their best. And when you lose 4-0, you can't say what Fabregas said after the game, that he didn't see a huge difference between the 2 teams. Probably he was right, but after he went home with 4 in the bag, it's better you just accept defeat publicly, and that's all. Actually, in England, and I was laughing, they are calling him the Spanish Ange for 𝗀𝗲𝗀, for Fabregas, no, because of this idea of like, I will prefer to have the ball and the possession stat, even if that means I'm gonna lose the game. I don't see clear the favoritism here for Roma as the bookies, but won't go 𝑋1 or 𝑋2 in a game that could be as well an under 2.5 at the Olimpico. My take here is a first half draw odds of 2.15.
I wouldn't say it's a great nickname, being the Spanish ante 𝗲𝗲𝗀. Let's check here. The AI smart bet going for over 1.5 goals in this game. Odds are 1.4 and goals as well. Over 2.5 goals, 2.22. I guess taking in consideration 𝗏𝐻𝐿's form more than Roma, because Roma usually is an under. No draws for Roma, by the way, this season. Well, Leo, this is it. Match day 15. Next one is, of course, 16, but we also have the Italian Super Cup, so the big guns are not playing just before Christmas time. Well, guys, remember as always that we have available for you our tipster competitions, completely free to participate, and you can win some cash money. And of course, we also have rivals where you can create your own tipster competition. Leo, let's go with your safe bet.
Milan Sassuolo goals over 2, odds of 1.38.
And tell me your ACCA.
Inter to win combined with goals over 1.5. Milan Sassuolo goals over 2.5. Bologna double chance. These three together odds of 5.64.
All right, Leo, thank you very much. Thanks everyone for watching. See you soon. Bye bye.